Claybert. This is nice work on assignment 1. Such analysis, a wide variety of shadow shapes. Question: do the shadows appear to be darker near the bases of the objects and lighter in value at their outer reaches? I'm wondering if you're working on a small page of paper. I encourage use of a large page, especially in the case of a drawing that has so many different subjects on it. Now, with assignment 2, things look quite good. I can't find your horizon line here, though. Remember, your light VP should be directly above your shadow VP, and the shadow VP sits on the horizon. From the light VP, drag lines down to the top corners of your subject and beyond to the ground plane, and from the shadow VP do the same, but drag those lines through the bottom corners of your subjects, and this will help you to find the shadow shapes. I'm not entirely sure if you're doing that here. It might be that your light and shadow VPs are off the page, which is not ideal. Now, looking at your work for assignment 3, okay, so here I see reflection. You should have 2 of the 3, reflection, cast, shadow, and or changing planes as in a road traversing a hilly landscape. So here it seems you're dealing primarily with the reflection idea. I want to advocate for aerial perspective, where things that are near are more focused and things that are far are less focused. The word factory being in the distance is perhaps more legible than it needs to be, although I see the point you're trying to prove by including this very generic word as signage on the building. With regard to the shape of the body of water, I think we need more detail on the banks so that we can really read this as being a flat plane. It's not clear exactly whether it's a dimensional form, and if it were, we'd wonder what sort of form it would be. So I want you to think about using a value scale. In fact, this wouldn't be a bad thing for everybody to use. You know, if you have a little card with different values on it, something that can even help more is to punch a hole in each value shape and to peer through it to judge the value that you need for the given task. I can see you want to shade, and I want to help you get to the point where your shading is just perfect. Hi, Belinda. I can see you're really working on assignment 1 here. I want to note that this assignment was one where you didn't have to use the theory as much, but instead just get a flashlight or some other lamp and move it around, analyzing the simple appearance of the cast shadows that forms make. Now, looking at your assignment 2, I can see you're thinking about the light and shadow VPs. However, you might be a little bit crowded on this page. Remember, when we were working with 3-point perspective, it was suggested that you could tack an extra page on, and that's okay in this case too. Now, listen to what I'm saying. You'll have a light source, and that'll be above the horizon in the sky. Direct down from that on the horizon line will be a shadow VP. Now, from your light VP in the sky, extend lines down to the top edges or corners of your subjects, and then let those lines continue until they strike what would be the ground plane. Likewise, with your shadow VP, extend lines to the bottoms of the shapes of your subjects and push those lines beyond the bottom of the form until they meet with the light VP lines. Now, all of this is based on your already having drawn the subjects, which may have required different VPs, for instance, with 2-point perspective. And this assignment is calling for 2-point perspective. I'm taking a look at the box that you have there sort of in center left, and it uses 2 points. Well, that's great. However, the same 2 points should be used for, what is it, like a nail polish bottle? All the subjects should use the same 2 vanishing points with a 2-point perspective. So those points need to be to the left and to the right so that you can easily incorporate the other shapes in your composition. I think you're making things a little harder than they need to be. Now let's take a look at your work for assignment 3. I think this falls in a category similar to that of Christina's. It feels to me that you've taken the idea about being creative to mean that you should invent the subject entirely. And I will tell you, the best drawings always use some sort of reference material, whether you've got an actual rubber duck in front of you that you used to look at, or a model of a sailboat, or a reference photo of a vehicle driving over a bridge. Hi, Shalyn. This is good work on your assignment 1. You know, I like the fact that you chose a Rubik's Cube as a subject. I think the subjects you choose add interest to your drawings. Now, looking at assignment 2, I want you to listen into what I was just saying to Belinda. Assignment 2 depends on your first drawing subjects according to two-point perspective, and it might be that the selection of subjects could be better for use with two-point perspective. Two-point perspective is going to work best, as far as we understand it, with boxy shapes versus cylindrical ones. We will get to cylindrical forms presently. Now, so look back to week 2. Remember what two-point perspective is comprised of. Make a two-point perspective drawing, and when that's all set, you come in with your light VP, which you do have, and your shadow VP. The shadow VP is going to be straight below the light VP on the horizon. There will be just one shadow VP if there's just one light VP. You know, looking at the shadow you have extending from the spray bottle, I know what you mean. I've seen this sort of shadow myself. This actually occurs when there are two light sources that are relatively close to one another. Now, I want to look on to your assignment 3 drawing now. This assignment was asking for a cast shadow and or two other things, which were reflection and changing vanishing points with shifting planes, such as in the case of a road that traverses a hilly landscape. So what I see here is just the cast shadow. You know, the assignment says to erase your guidelines, but it doesn't say not to use guidelines. And looking at this drawing, I can't see that guidelines were used, and they should be used both for the perspective and for plotting the shadow out.